Hello, everyone, professor and colleagues. This is my presentation about my state-of-the-art of the academic writing in Colombia, the cognitive skills in the early years poster. So let me start with this. As an introduction, I describe the academic writing as a formal writing style that needs a set of characteristics which are strong language policy, language literacy, precision, supporting ideas to favor the argument, clear structure, flowing content, strong grammar and spelling, punctuation usage. Research skills show evidence in citing the authors correctly. But where does all this happen? It happens in high school, college, and university. And according to Whitaker, he says that writing academic writing is that writing that students use to produce their work in university or college courses and create discussion around a topic with a target audience and engage in discourse that demonstrates a clear point of view. So what's needed for academic writing? Critical thinking skills, persuasive and argumentative skills, that are part of the formal general to convey ideas that make arguments and engage scholarly conversation. And there's this cycle in which we need to know the topic in the academic writing process, then read and research, outline and plan, start your writing and review and edit. With all these based on evidence and use precise word and logical organization, and mostly importantly, used in personal tone. We also need rhetoric and composition in which we use logos, ethos, and pathos. Logos that uses the logic and reasoning for the writer, and ethos that builds credibility, and pathos that creates empathy with emotions and a connection with the audience. Well, how do we do this? We need to do this creating a difference between facts and fiction, which is the critical life. It's very, very, very important in a critical stage of life for the learners in the primary level. So what's the problem? What's the problem here? The problem is the gap. So there are some points that I'd like to point out. First one, that we are in a non-native environment in Colombia. There's no English conditions for a second language, since we are in the expanded circle. We have English as a foreign language policy of education, which promotes basically the communicative approach preferred, which focuses on listening and speaking. Literacy, reading and writing, is overlooked. There is no strong English literacy policy in schools, especially in primary section, and therefore there are no clear lots and hot skills development policy, which we can see that are scaffolded. And because of all this, it's necessary to see or to look for a policy that looks for writing and reading competences. So this paper wants to discuss about the solutions that primary education needs for academic writing, cognitive and writing skills development for the early stages of a second language proficiency as the basis for the high order thinking skills. So let's start with the first topic, the academic language and literacy. In these stages of primary levels, the language literacy organizes ideas correctly in L2. That we need to do this first. And then what is it that we need to do? We need to know what to write and how we start. So in this matter, to be able to do this, we need to be able to do or to develop reading comprehension skills strongly, which is one of the topics, one of the skills for academic and cultural competency. So we also need to acquire knowledge through concepts and formal vocabulary for academic and language literacy. We need to develop agency in students, which also develops other things like responsibility, determination, meaningful learning. And also the agency ends up in self-management, which needs motivation, to be goal-oriented, prioritize break down tasks, timetables, and routines. We also need to encourage students to acknowledge other people's work by citing authors. It develops an integrity sense of integrity, and by distinguishing others' ideas. And we need to build in students the research evidence. The research is crucial for argument support. And English is a lingua franca, which is the academic world uses the English as an international language. So what are the primary level learners? In the cognitive development of primary level students, there are 4 stages according to Piaget. The sensory motor, pre-operational, concrete operational, and formal operational ages. I focus, or this state-of-the-art focuses on these since pre-operational stages onto formal operational stages, which is to learn social interaction, creative and expressive writing, storytelling, enhances all the characteristics that are different from adults. This will help the students increase the cognitive and affective characteristics, like, for example, get a lot of attention in what is needed. These children need a lot of attention to develop these cognitive and affective characteristics. They also like to pretend to play, but also like to have real activities. And they like to be engaged in observation and experience. They like to reflect, and these all will end up in high order thinking skills development, and therefore into a metacognition. What I can do with this in my life. Since this ends up in this metacognition, the cognitive skills, which is the last part of my presentation, needs a strong cognitive fundamental skills. The first thing we need to understand or focus on in this scaffolded idea is to have clearly what Bloom's taxonomy is. And from this Bloom's taxonomy, starting from the easiest to the hardest one, we can go from lots to HOTS, working on the memory, which has 3 aspects: the cognitive, which is the natural mental process, the affective experience or feeling of emotions, and the psychomotor, which is the relationship between these cognitive functions and the physical movement. I believe that also CLIO, coming from basic interpersonal communicative skills to high order thinking skills with cognitive academic language proficiency, can be one of the answers for these scaffolded cognitive skills that we're looking for. So in my conclusions for my state-of-the-art, I believe that to develop the higher order thinking skills, we need to scaffold accordingly the skills to the life cycle and age of students. So the correct academic strong basis for the writing academic life is much needed, is much fulfilled in the precise moment. Thank you very much for your attention.